happy Sunday. I hope everybody is having a great day. You've got to go to church and hopefully enjoying some time with your family or taking Sunday afternoon naps, which are my favorite. I feel like, I don't know why, but on Sundays, naps are the best. So anyways, hope you're having a great day. And I wanted to be transparent with you guys about something. And I think if you get anything about watching these, hopefully you will hear my heart and that I can be authentic on here. But last week, when I recorded last Sunday, I was battling through some pretty bad anxiety. Even when I recorded the message, I felt like I was supposed to share that with someone, but I also was preaching to the choir. And I needed to hear the things I was sharing last week too. In fact, our church just did a series, Preaching to the Choir, and sometimes we got to tell ourselves, or tell our spirits, our soul, what's up. And so anyways, that's where I was at last week. And, you know, I've talked about anxiety before, and I knew I hit a nerve on that one because I think a lot of us do wrestle with that. And I got more feedback on that one probably than any other recording I've done is the one on anxiety. And I talked about in that previous episode with anxiety, some of the tools that I use when I am wrestling. And so just a reminder of kind of like what I've talked about before and what I did last Sunday is I believe that it's so important to identify what's going on and bring it to the light. And so that's what I did. I let a few friends know that it's not a lot of people, but there's an inner circle of people I know that are committed to pray for me and say, hey, I'm wrestling, I'm battling today. Can you pray for me? So I did that. I also talk about the power of worship in the Word. And I think with worship, just listening to worship music, and sometimes I get so mad at, it may be my flesh, it may be the enemy coming at me, but I'm like, I want the enemy to see me. So in those moments, a lot of times I get on my knees and I blast worship and I'm like, hope you see me because you messed with the wrong girl, because I'm going to praise even harder. I'm going to praise before my breakthrough. So I do that, but still, you can still wrestle. And so I just continue to take those things to the Lord. And then I also have this little book that I wanted to show you guys that I love. A friend actually had this, and I realized like you can get it on Amazon. I think it was $4. And it's right here. It's God's Promises for every day. And so just look that up on Amazon. I think it's $4. And I love it because, you know, there's a little appendix where you can go through if you're wrestling with, if you're afraid, if you're in doubt, if you don't feel important, ways to succeed, a guide for life. Like there's scriptures for everything. So this is just a book full of scripture. And so a lot of times if I'm wrestling with a specific thing or I'm praying for somebody, when people ask me, hey, can you be praying for this? I look in this book just for specific scriptures that I can just declare those promises over those people, over myself, over my children, whatever it may be. And so I love this book. So I dug into that last week. Like I said, worship. And then I have a few pastors that I love to listen to that I usually can count on are going to bring a message or a word that's going to really challenge me. And so last Sunday night, still, I was using the tools I'm talking about, still battling with anxiety. But I just said, Lord, like, I need you to speak to me tonight. And so it was really amazing because if you watched last week's episode, it was called Equipped for Battle. And so I watched Sunday night as I'm falling asleep, still wrestling with anxiety, a message that was so powerful. And I want to read the scripture that they pointed out. It's from Psalms 78, and we're going to start in verse 9. It says, the men of Ephraim, though armed with bows, turned back on the day of battle. They did not keep God's covenant, and they refused to live by his law. They forgot what he had done and the wonders he had shown them. So you guys, here they are armed, they are equipped for battle. They have what they need. They're armed with bows. They turn back on the day of battle. They did not keep the Lord's covenant or refused to live by his law. They forgot what God had done. And the message that I listened to Sunday night was talking about how often we are equipped for battle and God has given us everything we need to fight those things, but instead they forgot what the Lord has done. And so we need to remember the faithfulness. If you read that verse, that chapter in Psalms 78, it goes on and talks about all the miracles that the Lord did for the Israelites, and they forgot. And how many miracles has he done in your life? How many miracles has he done in my life? And that we need to remember. In fact, I've started journaling things more because I want to remind myself of the faithfulness and the goodness of the Lord. And we need to see it on paper. You need to remember it. And so I was so encouraged. I screenshot that message. I don't know. Like I was jazzed up. I couldn't go to sleep. And the Lord really used that message to continue to break off that anxiety. And then the very next day, I was honest with my staff. We had a time of prayer, and I said, hey, I'm battling with anxiety. Can y'all pray for me? And they huddled around me and they laid hands on me. And man, I'm telling you, I just continued to feel the Lord move, and the people that I'd asked have been praying for me. And the difference in 24 hours in my life was amazing. And so I want to encourage you today that if you're wrestling with anxiety, if there's something that's making you afraid, to do those things, what I shared, some of those tools that have helped me. And it is amazing to see how God will move when you ask him to show up. And even like I said, I did several of the steps that I need to do, still battling anxiety. And then I said, Lord, speak to me through a message. And that message was like so right on for me. And that's what the Lord wants to do with each one of us, that he knows. I mean, the Bible talks about he knows every hair on our head. He knows every fear. He knows every anxiety. And he wants to speak to those lies, and he wants to replace them with truth. And he wants to remind us of who he is, how much he loves us, and how faithful that he is. And, something I've been praying a lot about, Caleb in the Bible, it says, when a lot of the other spies saw the promised land, and all Caleb saw was potential and what God could do, it says Caleb had a different spirit about him. And I've been praying, God, make me like a Caleb that has a different spirit, that we may see these giants in our lives and we say, how dare you defy the army of the living God? Just like I talked about last week with David. He saw the giant in his life, but he remembered what the Lord had delivered, how the Lord had delivered him from the paw of the bear and the lion. So he said, he's going to deliver me from this giant. So we need to remember what God has done in our lives. We need to cry out for him to show up, for him to help us. He'll meet us in those places, and he wants to specifically minister to your heart and show up in big ways. So just wanted to encourage you with that, and thank you so much for watching, and those that have sent messages about how the Lord is using this in your life. And all I want to do is just share about how God is ministering to me, because he's what it's all about. He is amazing, and he loves us so much. So anyways, I hope y'all have a great day, and thank you again for watching.